Stress has become a big cultural buzzword in the last 20 years. Stress is blamed for our health issues, our unhappy relationships, and also for artistic blocks. Yet, since some stress is a positive thing, how can we tell what helps and what hurts? Researchers on the psychology of well being are now looking at what factors play a role in how some people seem to cope better with and even use stress in a positive way. This is being called the hardiness factor. What makes some people able to weather terrible trauma while others are seemingly broken by events or situations we would consider much less stressful? These three factors help determine how a person will view and therefore respond to negative stress or trauma. First of all, a person needs to have a sense of control in at least some area of our lives. We come up with the reality of how little we are in control of many times in our life, but to have a sense of power and of agency in at least one area of our lives is essential. Second, a sense of competency, mastery, or of being appreciated. We need to feel that what we are doing has some effect and that we can feel ourselves being good at it. Third, a sense of meaning, value, or of purpose beyond ourselves. This connects us to core values, to what is larger than us. This may be religious, spiritual, philosophical, or none of the above in an explicit way, but meaning helps us to put our experience into a context and therefore use it. So, cultivating these aspects of well being, resilience, and psychological flexibility, we're better able to meet the challenges of uncertainty in human existence. And making art is one of the ways human beings create meaning, connect with each other, and with our deepest selves. So let's talk about suffering for a moment. Since we do encounter pain in our lives, what are we to do with it? All of this so far has been an apology for creativity as a necessity for a full life. But creative expression may not in and of itself, quote, make us happy, unquote. In fact, we may need a little grit in our clamshell in order to create pearls. As Eric Wilson says in his book, Against Happiness, quote, creating doesn't make us unhappy. Unhappiness makes us create. To create is to live, and in living we want only to create more, to set our foundations deeper and reach higher toward the sky. If sadness is part of what makes us creative, then sadness is nothing else but life, end quote. This is not to encourage or to minimize incapacitating depression or mental illness. Wilson is saying that normal human feelings include the ones we're often trying to get rid of, and yet those feelings are the very experiences out of which we're often impelled to create. One of the central issues of being human is that we don't really know who we are. As D.W. Winnicott, one of the pioneers of child psychology, commented, quote, although healthy persons communicate and enjoy communicating, the other fact is equally true that each individual is an isolate, permanently non-communicating, permanently unknown, in fact, unfound. Out of our experiences of aloneness, if we can accept and embrace that part of our humanity, comes the desire to create, express, and connect, and each of us has this within our repertoire. But what do artists say about using these feelings? The writer Flannery O'Connor once commented that anyone who has survived childhood will have enough material to write about for a lifetime. And from Duke Ellington, this quote, I merely took the energy it takes to pout and wrote some blues. And the poet Theodore Rothke said, "In a dark time, the eye begins to see." Perhaps we not only need some darkness in order to see light, but it is essential that we embrace our aloneness in order to connect. I encourage you to begin to trust the breadth of your feelings and experiences without pushing the uncomfortable ones away. They may be the impetus for you to try something you haven't dared before, or to open your eyes to deeper truths. With all our human insecurities and fears, as creators, we are rich. And now I'd like to talk about another aspect of creativity that I call the principle of indirection. Starting one place in order to get another sounds like an oxymoron, yet we often expect that we can and should know exactly where we're going in order to get there, whether we're talking about a college degree, career choice, a mate, or a creative endeavor. Certainly, the multitude of how-to books in popular psychology uphold the idea that if you are very dedicated and follow certain recipes and rules, you will reach your goals. And if you fail, you must have been not quite good enough. In contrast to this notion, I'd like to submit a variously attributed quote: "Anything worth doing is worth doing badly." What kind of crazy nonsense is this, you might well ask? But think about what it takes to learn something new. Think about the risk-taking and the courage to start at something in the beginning and know nothing and just let yourself find out. Did Mozart pop out of the toaster writing symphonies? No, even a prodigy needs to start by playing around, making things up, and making mistakes. He just kept going. He was, as all artists are, his own first audience, and he followed his curiosity. What are you curious about? And what has stood in the way of your exploring that? As Oscar Wilde said, life is too important to be taken seriously. We need room to play. And now this from Rilke, from his Letters to a Young Poet. Have patience with everything that remains unsolved in your heart. Try to love the questions themselves. And now I have questions for you. What is it that you would like to explore in your life, in your college career, in this semester's project? What risks are you willing to take, and what do you see as obstacles? How can I help? In conclusion, I look forward to working with you to embrace your joys, passions, and dreams, and to engage in a rich dialogue wherever your journey leads. Thank you. But what does this tell us about stress?